Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a bit of a knockdown drag-out fight between myself and my friend Lowing. I'm playing as Red Dragons, bit of a... wait, hold on a second. Yes, Red Dragon, sorry, just the BRDM2 took me by surprise. I'm not entirely sure what my opponent's playing as, but I think, Lowing loves the French, so it's probably the French. And we're taking a bit of an interesting tact here. I'm not planning on contesting the town farther up in Gregory. I was, however, intending to push and attack through Boris and defend my side of Gregory so I can countercap and then fight over the middle, basically. But we do suffer the first casualties as the French player does get a very nice shot there on some of my forward elements. I was hoping to get some recon infantry, some Lee Ren into the town, sorry, into the woods there, I guess between Feder and Boris, and I'll have to settle for a ZTQ on my side of the river. So pretty good vision here. It is a recon tank, 60 points, decent gun, just suffers a little bit in the armor department, but really not that bad, I think, for the price tag, and we are getting some decent shots on Vabs as my infantry is moving up in the woods in Boris and preparing to get underway. Now, while this was going on, there was the, ever-present paratrooper drop in the northern side of Gregory, but I think both of us were focused a little bit more over on this side now for the moment. So I have two ZTQ 62Gs opening up and a T90S. A lot of fire support there, well, I guess main battle tanks, especially the T90S, 170 points. Hold on just a second. Sorry about that. So, it's going to be a bit of a slow grind of a game at the start anyway. Well, I guess not so much. We have some combats going on in Feder, taking out AMX VTTs and some infantry that we're trying to get up into these woods. A little bit slow to do that, I think. You really have to use motorized infantry if you want to get up that far that quick, because my BRDMs are not the fastest, but I mean, even they were able to beat those AMXs forward and into Feder. In the meantime, there's a Gazelle getting a little bit too far forward, and I'm trying to do what I can with a Hwasong Chung to take him out, and also the Hwasong Chung's opening up on Commando's Para, trying to get into the woods there. In the meantime, infantry have engaged with the Vabs in the western woods in Boris, and I know there's western woods in every map, but for some reason I find it enjoyable to say things like that. And we have actually counter-capped here, so my opponent has capped Boris, and we've counter-capped in the woods. I could just keep a defensive posture here, but the problem is that would get bombed very easily, it would get artilleried very easily, and I would be in a world of trouble. And you can already see Entendeurs coming in and dropping some bombs, I think hoping to find my command vehicle, which, this is a ZZZ, it is a command tank, so 135 points, 2 top armor, it is somewhat vulnerable to bombing runs, but we do have combat going on now as Tenka Xiaoxiao are engaging with Chasseurs, and that's a pretty excellent sightline that I hadn't expected. Pardon the click there for changing view, but Tenka Xiaoxiao engaging, just shooting right down this weird sort of open angle, I guess, through a town at the chasseurs that they can see. In the meantime, however, my Hwasong Chungs are almost out of iglos, and most of those have been used to take down Puma Pirates, which, those point costs do add up eventually. We have some reinforcements going over that way, just to make sure that there's no press in and through Gregory. And the combat in, in Boris, anyway, is doing pretty well. So Tenka Xiaoxiao going through a fair number of their rounds, and Lu Zhendui, Li Ren sparring with some chasseurs and AMX-13s. I also have infantry moving through the forest and trying to get around and circumvent that main town. This is the expected bombing run, so Entendeurs coming in yet again, and I mean, that will hurt, that will add up. So Li Ren not killed by it, but certainly nearly killed by it, and certainly they won't do all that great after this. Lu Zhendui sort of just making a bit of a charge here to try and get in the town, as the chasseurs are relatively well chewed through. Now there are Legion there, but a B5 bomber's coming in, takes one shot, takes a couple more shots, and goes down. But let's see what that bomb from the B5 bomber can do as it goes in. Nearly dead Legion, nearly dead Commandos Para, both groups stunned and damaged AMX-10. A little bit of friendly fire on the Lu Zhendui, but I think pretty good targeting position, so I was quite happy with that. And we've found and killed the P4 PC that was hidden in the woods in Boris, and now this zone, which is so easy and quick to get to for our opponent, is capped for our side. And yeah, I mean, there's Mirage coming in, that's going to be more bombs coming in as well, and the Lu Zhendui do kind of eat those bombs. A little bit unfortunate, but, my intent is to be as much of a nuisance as I can, and if that means I can get control of Boris and keep it, so much the better. However, Gregory has been capped for the Blue 4 team, so we are still at 0-0. The couple of points there was just some initial jostling. I might have capped center a little bit before he did, but you know, that's just such as the way of things. WZ's engaging with those nice autocannons that they have against Vabs, but Vabs also have nice autocannons. However, the WZs do have 2 frontal armor, and that is proving to make a little bit of a difference right now. The Vabs, of course, only have 1, but I think accuracy is well, making a difference as well. I guess 1-to-1, a little bit worse than I'd expected, but Entendeurs coming in and my Lee Ran are about to pay the price. Of course, this is sort of evaporating my advantage in Boris as my infantry are getting chewed through. I'm losing a couple vehicles as well, and I mean, I guess that's to be expected. It was one of those where this is nice. If I had, you know, neutral Gregory, if I had capped Feder, something like that, it would be pretty good. But Entendeurs coming in again and just hitting the known positions in the town, and I'm losing more and more and more. So trying to get a ZTQ up there, because that recon tank might be able to delay and contest some enemy reinforcements crossing the bridge, if you can get vision, but not the heaviest of tanks, so a bit of a questionable thing there. And Chasseurs in the woods are going to give him a hard time. I had forgotten these guys existed. We get 1 shot off with the main gun, and yeah, I mean, stunned the Chasseurs, so we might be able to get through here. But the ZZZ-55 scout vehicle in the northwest was killed. Not entirely sure by what, to be honest, but it was killed by something. ZTQ managed to overcome the Chasseurs in the woods and are moving up. So decent knife fight there. I'm always a little bit nervous sending in tanks to the woods, but I mean, a 60-point tank is not the end of the world if you lose it anyway. Mirage 5F coming in, going after the Z9A is a bit of an interesting choice there, not necessarily something I would have done myself, but I didn't really have a great AA net at this point in the game. I think, yeah, no, we will, but not quite yet. Mistrals actually did survive the Lugendui as well, and I mean, my tank are trying, but the constant stream of Entendeurs is just a little overwhelming, as one of them takes down the ZTQ, more than paying for itself, as these guys are pretty cheap iron bombers. And the fact that I wasn't able to take them down was really just kind of my own negligence. I should have had an superiority fighter up, I probably would have been able to do a decent chunk. Should have had, and yeah, we do have a MiG up as well, and he's shot at something. I think it was one of the Entendeurs, but it was just, yeah, it was a little disappointing. HQ-7s, of course, these are the Chinese version of Crotals, so they actually fire Crotal missiles, 33-25 meter range, and carry 4, just like a standard Crotal. Pretty nice. Legion trying to push in through the woods, but finding that we do have a bit of a hard point back here. Of course, that does make these 2 positions known bombing positions as well, so we'll have to watch for Entendeurs over on that side. And now we have Vabs coming up with reinforcements, and they are wisely tearing off to the side before they get to the town, avoiding the Type 69 RPGs, I guess, from the Lugendui, but not the Tenkashasho. These guys really shining in this match with that longer range, so able to take out a couple of Vabs, potentially some infantry, although I'm not really sure, and the second shot was unfortunately a miss. Only 1 shot remaining on those Tenkashasho, so they have done pretty well for themselves. In the meantime, we do have Lugendui moving up, ZSDs also just trying to make sure that I have some sort of zone control in Feder, and it's just a bit of a grind, so I am going to go to speed 2, as this is a relatively long match, and things, it's not that there's not going to be anything going on, but, well, it's a pretty steady pace here for a while, and we have a lot to get through, so pardon the speed, but some things I think are just kind of necessary. So the Legion are actually losing to Lugendui, and I think it's just because of the open ground there, but Entendeur comes in and saves the Legion, at least for a little bit. Tenkashasho could have gotten the kill there if they had more ammunition, but as it is, they're taking fire from that Legion's tertiary weapon, which is longer range than the Tenkashasho's standard gun. Now, we do have some fire support coming in from the ZTQ, and Lugendui sparring with Chasseurs, but weight of numbers is probably going to tell there. We also have a bomber coming in, going after the ZTQ, but this was kind of funny. My opponent thought he got the Entendeur and did not, but we did get a shot off with the HQ-7, which promptly gets retaliated against. So Iron Bomber coming in on the last known position of the HQ-7. We do get it with the MiG, but we lose the HQ-7, and that's an expensive mistake. P4PC, meanwhile, coming up for my opponent. I'm not sure if I saw it at the time, but it's almost certainly in that little patch of woods, as we did just see it come across. I think I was more transfixed, I suppose, by what's going on here because my command tank is very much exposed, and we have some reinforcements, the Tankashashao and WZ-551s. Pretty potent combination, but not the best for knife fighting in the woods, as these guys are 5 strength and lack tertiary. In the meantime, Vab is actually going to kill these Z9As, and the Mistral is still alive. Those guys being 5 strength is really just kind of annoying from time to time, and we do have Liu Jiandui moving up in the woods. I was hoping that, you know, resistance over here would be light because we'd seen this stream of reinforcements headed into Boris, but unfortunately not a lot of luck there, and my Tankashashao and WZs are, you know, they're doing some decent shots against those Legion, but here comes yet another bomber, and I mean, my SPRD fighters can't keep up with that pace. My HQ-7 was taken out. This was just a devastating set of bombardments that didn't seem to let up. In the meanwhile, Lijian 90 encountering AMX-13s, and this is a bad fight because those napalm launchers aren't going to be able to do much damage. Those AMX-13s, I was trying to get ZSDs up as well just to get a distraction, but fortunately for me, my opponent isn't really microing over here at the moment, and the Liu Jiandui should be moving back, but I got a little bit overconfident there. And I mean, the important thing is we have counter-capped over in Gregory, and we are trying to take a forward position here, or at least not get pushed back like we are. It's sort of a distraction from over in Boris. Meanwhile, Lijian 90, and I should just have a regular Lijian, probably. The elite training for 25 points is pretty nice, but Lijian 90 doing pretty well against chest swords on the eastern side. Bochung Su and Liu Jiandui teaming up against Commandos Para and Legion, and the other Liu Jiandui are moving back, but I lose even more men to those cheap Entendars. Just Entendar after Entendar after Entendar. I swear he had an inexhaustible supply, but you know, it goes to show there's different ways to play this game, and some of them, especially when they're not expected, are more devastating than you might think. So we do counter cap in Feder, so a ZZZ sitting there in the back as well, and more bombers coming in, but finally we do have a +1 ticking as Gregory and Feder are counter capped, and let's see how well those bombs do. Bochung Su take it out completely, Liu Jiandui down to 8 men, and my cargoes that were supposed to reinforce this infantry not able to do their jobs. Meanwhile, Mirage 5S does get taken down, so I do love watching those birds drop from the sky, and our HQ-7 has done some pretty good work. In the meantime, however, there is a VAB headed up this way, and all I've got are 2 men of the Lijian 90 set and ZZZ command tank back here. That's it. This guy could probably kill the VAB first shot, but then he'd be giving himself away. I do, however, have more special forces coming up, more Lijian 90, again a questionable choice, but I was concerned with defending against infantry more than anything else there, and cost effective, maybe not, but I'm still learning Red Dragons, which is very clear, well, both the game and the coalition. So another Entendar coming in, and he is going to be headed after probably the Liu Jiandui. Let's see how those... oh no, well, yeah, they're both Liu Jiandui, but yet another bomb drop, yet another kill, and these guys, you know, they're only 15 points per squad, so it's not that devastating to lose them, not like it was the Lijian 90. But still, I mean, it's adding up, it's becoming a problem. I was so mad this entire game. I was like, no, stop bombing me, stop. Anyway, we are getting into a skirmish here. My Legion a little bit underperforming as they were shot by some Babs, and that did get them down to shaken. So the accuracy isn't going to be all that great. Entendars also coming in with the bombing run again. We managed to get through the chasseurs. Unfortunately for me, both of the infantry did survive this time. If my cargo can get there, that'll be pretty nice, but the MiG was coming in a little too late to get revenge. And we do take a shot from some sort of AA, another shot goes in and does miss, but I was looking elsewhere and I circled around again, so despite surviving the first 2, here should come number 3? Oh, I thought it was there. Interesting, maybe this guy does get out. The 912B, that's what it is. He goes in for the other plane and gets taken down then, getting into range of that AA net. One already damaged, not exactly a smart idea, and the Entendars coming in completely unperturbed. Just, oh, man. 45-point bomber. It reminds me, frankly, of the 30-point Entente one, but probably slightly better payload on the Entendar. Does miss the Legion this time, so, hey, silver linings and all that. Whew, okay. So at this point in the match, you know, we take a step back for a second, take a look at the overall picture. I do have a pretty nice spread here, and we are able to repulse a blue 4, well, a French, I guess, attack down the center. These chasseurs probably should have been supported somehow instead of just sent right down the pipe. but ZTQs, T90S are going to make short work of that, as well as a Lucian Dui on the side, just in case they got through. So, finally something good for us, but my command tank was killed by either a bombing run, that might have been artillery, a little bit hard to tell, but we were actually just completely gassed and killed that way. Entendre coming in, trying to punish the ZTQ, we'll see how that does as well, and no joy there, but it became one of those things where even though I knew I needed to have more anti-air out, they were taken out so quickly that I thought, okay, well, we'll do it with fighters, and you know, the reset time on those guys can be a bit of an issue. I am shooting in at this line of woods when we get something, looks like an AMX-10 RC or an RCSB, so certainly worthwhile there. I mean, it's a volley, it's fine. Puma 330H Pirate, probably dropping off some sort of paratroopers, and we have stabilized for the moment in Boris, largely because we're not being pushed. I think when I was looking at this on neutral, there was a lot in Boris for the French player, and it just wasn't really moved forward. I don't think he wanted to engage there again and get sort of bogged down in that. At least not yet, so we'll see how that continues, but Feder being uncounter-capped, it was a bit of an issue. I do have Z9A and an MI1, and this is just... it's an ATGM helo, it's nothing special. 60 points is decently cheap for that, but now we had mortars coming in, just searching for the stun on whatever it is I have for command here, and a couple M201s. Now these guys are just recoilless rifle trucks, decent strategy if you want something to face check where the opponent is. Of course for that purpose you only really need one, and then just send in the bomber behind it, but that is going to be less than fun, as I do just have those napalm launchers. Defend with that, so, defend that off, rather. I am calling a WZ-550 ATGM vehicle. I thought maybe, you know, I could get a zone of control here, discourage any other infantry fighting vehicles from moving up, but, well, it's a little late for that to be all that impactful, and so we are just sort of moving around, making sure that the bombers don't have a stationary target to shoot at, and neither should those mortars, because that would also wear down the infantry pretty well. So just, you know, engaging, moving, rinse and repeat. So WZ-550, the reason I called this 29-75 meter range on that is pretty nice, particularly for 8 points, and you know, 70% accuracy, 26 APs. Very nice, 8 sackless missiles as well. I thought I could park them somewhere around here, and that would be just an area denial system against my opponent. Maybe not the most valuable thing, but certainly pretty decent. I am attempting to counter-fire him right now. I should have been going after that command vehicle this entire time. I should have seen it. Don't think I did in-game, so you catch some things on the replay that you don't catch during the game, of course. Just trying to manage stuff elsewhere, and there's a little blue blip on the other side of the map for about 2 or 3 seconds. It can add up. So we do have, oh, that's not that. Never mind then. So Legion moving up over the top, actually Legion 90, and ZSD is more than enough to handle those guys at range. But just in case, I do have Lucian Dui and more ZSD just firing in at these guys. Of course, the Erics on that Legion will be pretty deadly, but really, I mean, only one ZSD lost, 5-point transport, and killed a set of Legion 90, so that works for me anyway. And those guys do get taken down. In the meantime, Gregory really hasn't seen all that much. I have an HQ-7 over here just trying to get some support against these constant bomber trains, and I figured those guys are heading in against the Lucian Dui and the ZSDs, but that at least does put them directly in the path of the HQ-7, so 1 missile away, 1 hit, but no kills yet. We do get one of the Entendres, that is some revenge, and another missile coming in, another hit, but I don't know. Yeah, no, second shot's a miss, and that other bomber gets out, but it will be a while before he's back. At least that is some small silver lining. And now we have the howitzer coming in, killing the resupply helicopter and a couple other VLRA logistiques. This is just kind of petty on my part, but I mean, I could see the units, so why not hit them? And yeah, every bit of damage you can do to your opponent is, of course, always worth doing, always worth going for, pretty much no matter what. Just, yeah, it's like I had a friend, I have a friend I play chess with quite often, and his motto is, even if it delays his strategy, if there's a free piece, he takes it, because it's a free piece, why not? Of course, this has led to him getting checkmated a couple of times when he had the advantage and just waited a little too late, but we're not here for chess, we're here for war games, so let's get back to it. So, in the meantime, yeah, this match is running, what, nearly a little over 20 minutes. We have had a fair amount of that on speed 2 as well, and now Commandos Para and Vabs are going to be a little bit difficult for me to handle. We could handle the Commandos Para on their own, but the Legion are shooting at the Vabs, panicking them, only doing a little bit of damage and getting absolutely ripped through by those autocannons. And this is enough for me to say, okay, well, I've basically lost this position. The Legion 90, probably not my favorite unit. I think I have gotten rid of them in that deck. And, well, we need to do something, because my Legion are nearly dead. The Vab is, yeah, we ripped through the Commandos Para, but there's another 30 stack of chasseurs there. My Legion have to retreat. They're getting shot at while they retreat. It's a bad time, had by pretty much everybody, but especially me. So I am calling a couple of cheap tanks forward, and that is to distract Infeder, because if I'm going to lose Boris, I need something else to avoid taking a loss, or at least not getting any points. We did manage to get up to about 96 points so far, but B5 Bomber is going to be the solution. So as it is right now, with Cargo, Legion 90, and there's enemy Chasseurs and enemy Legion 90 in these woods, along with a couple other Vabs and more reinforcements on the way. Here comes the B5, and it is a little bit too danger close, so unfortunately, yeah, everything died, including my stuff, especially my stuff. But so did his stuff, and that works for me. In the meantime, the ZZZ is shooting at the Panther, and, it's not going to get the kill. Probably should have turned off the gun, but at least we still have the counter cap here, or at least we will. And yes, we have a counter cap here, and that's denying my opponent some reinforcements. In the meantime, Commandos Para going up and over. They probably should have come down and through, although I had some trouble with that the other day. But right now they're just walking into it, firing concave by trying to go over over this hill. Maybe not the most effective thing. Of course, he also tried coming down this way, and it's a hard position to attack from, I think, sometimes, just because attacking from an elevated position means everyone can see you, so reverse slope advantage is often very real. In the meantime, BRDM2 trying to take out that Panther before those Sneb rocket pods can be used to my detriment, and we do finish off the Commandos Para in Feder. So, my ZTS tanks have gotten here. I'm calling out a couple units of mortars as well, and trying to move forward. But Panther did live, and we have actually lost the WZ-550, and also just there the scout tank. So taken out by a freaking Panther. Freaking Sneb rocket pods, man. They took down a tank. Admittedly, side armor, not front, but 60-point command tank gone, and for no other reason than I tried to get a little too aggressive with it and move up a little too far. So the PTZ is still here. Pardon me. PTZ is still here, and that is a fire support vehicle, so 65 points there, 55% accuracy, 10 rounds per minute, and 21 AP for 65 points, 10 rounds a minute is very nice. Pretty good deal there. It's a tank destroyer, so it's strictly defensive use, but I tend to favor it just because I think it can be decently effective when used correctly. And now we're going to be trying to do something about Feder, and trying to do that a little bit more effectively than the French player has been doing against us in Feder. So we have, this is what the ZTSs are for. They're supposed to take shots first. Of course, that's a pretty good gun, 17 AP and good range, means that we are going to have a decent time in knife fights. And it's a little hard to see, but howitzers did come in as well, and we were able, yeah, they're shooting through the smoke. We were able to take out my opponent's command tank, command vehicle. There is really no reason in that regard to then take the top, but I really wanted to prevent this from being counter-capped again, as it is getting us our +1, as the other two sides are counter-capped. We might lose Boris. I didn't want to risk it. BRDM2 does find a Leclerc, so now I know that, well, where it is, and the ZTSs are going to try and go after it, just sheer numbers. MIAT taking a bit of a pounding, but ZSD is moving up around the side. Illusion Dewey moving up to the center, actually getting smacked by that dead helicopter, which is kind of funny. And, you know, we are going to lose ZTSs in here, right? But, well, ZTSs and ZTQs. But we are going to be able to get those AMX-10s eventually. I know there's a Leclerc. I have 4 tanks, and let's see what we can do. 4 tanks. T90S does take a shot. No. Yeah, actually, ZTS just ran right up behind him, shot through his back armor, and there you go. In the meantime, AMX rolling 3 is not going to fare well against those ZTQs, and we've well and truly taken the top. So there's a single AMX 40 left. But, jeez, even that took down a ZTS, or ZTQ rather. Yeah, that was ZTQ. Lost my other scout tank, but gets a little distracted by the Illusion Dewey, and now that ZTS is able to open up, as well as the one in the back with that Bastion, ATGM, and down goes the last remaining French tank. So we have secured Feder, we have secured the very center of the map here. That is going to give us a +1 and give my opponent something he has to overcome. So that works for me. Lugendui and cheap tanks, along with T90S, should be able to hold on to this decently well. Only 1 damage on the T90S, but now there are going to be bombers coming in. And, I mean, this ridge line is a pretty decent gas place, but I did actually, I don't know if you guys caught it, but we did actually see, P4 PC coming forward and taken out by his ATS-63 too. So I think that was called in before he lost the top, after I killed his CV, but before he lost the top. Looks like a Tiger going down there as well. Yep, certainly a Tiger. Not quite sure, I can't tell which kind, but that does use the last of the HQ-7's projectile missiles, so this Gazelle Cannon is able to move up without any sort of consequences. Boris has been let free long enough that I am finally bringing in more reinforcements, which will make life difficult for our opponents, but he's gotten a couple Puma Pirates around the side. I have a Helo Hunter I sent over, but I wasn't able to quite do it. Z9A, TY90 moving over, and of course those 8 AA missiles will be pretty nice, but these guys are just running away from him. Let's see, we do get 1 kill there, but there's still 2 Puma Pirates, probably with, well, 1 Puma Pirate, probably with paratroopers left, and this is a desperation play, but if it works, it will work. And the Rafale going in on the Z9A, risky business. You can easily get killed if you spend too long next to AA helicopters, but it looks like, yep, no shots landing. Oh, we almost got him, 1 point away. Oh, Rafale gets taken down? Awesome, alright. Perfect, so that's exactly what I had meant with that. The TY90s can do decent work against planes. I mean, even Sokols, even MH-60L DAPs can do very well if a plane wanders too close, and especially in good numbers. So we do have a Puma Pirate and Legion 90 moving into our backwoods. My command infantry are not in the woods properly, but a B-5 bomber coming out, as well as infantry and Hwasong Chungs, and this is just meant to handle this situation as efficiently as possible. I think you guys will agree that we did manage, as both of those units are just wiped off the face of the map. So, recapping Dimitri, and we are still taking out a +1. About 10 minutes left in the match. 9 minutes, 20 seconds left. So, of course, nobody is going to be winning this by points, rather it's going to be won by timeout, which I kind of like those games, to be honest, because it means that it was a hard-fought enough game that neither side really held too great of an advantage. Sure, maybe some do in points, but certainly not in points and position. So Z9A going up to challenge the Tiger Had here. Of course, Tiger Hap is the one with the AA missiles. The Tiger Had has no defense against that, and will be hopefully pretty good unless there's AA to take down the TY90. Bit of a risk, but I was hoping I could get up to maybe about here and sort of screen myself against AA using the ridgeline and the hill on the top right hand side, and all I need is that shot against the Tiger Had. Let's see, 1 goes in, 1 hit, but still alive, 2nd hit, and dead. And the Gazelle 342 Hawk 2, as well as, I think that was a Recon Helo probably. So the Recon Helo does get taken down, and we're getting a little greedy, but I wanted that other Gazelle, and 1 shot's a miss, 2nd shot's a hit. These guys, I mean, yes, they're situational. Yes, if there's no helicopters, then they're a dead buy for 90 points, which is never what you want. But if there are enemy helicopters, these guys are just absolutely merciless. So, still not sure I love the Red Dragon coalitions, particularly not when compared to either Baltic or USSR, but there are just some things I can't wrap my head around. Entente's one of them, and I do struggle a little bit with not getting things shot to pieces when I play as Red Dragons, but that's all part of it. So we do spot other helicopters moving around this way. I have an MI-1 in place to stop this. More Puma Pirates, more paratroopers, but Hwasong Chung should be able to handle that. I also have a MiG-29 912B, the best Helo Hunter in my opinion in the entire game. 120 points, but high ECM, good missiles, and that's 1 pirate gone. We will be wrapping around to get the other one, except there's no need, because the Hwasong Chung and Bo Chung Su will be able to take him out post-haste, or at least I think they should. Yep, Hwasong Chung opening up. Actually, no, the MiG got him. So, yeah, I mean, missiles were fired by the Hwasong Chung, but this guy definitely earning his pay today. So, mortars coming in and just pounding into infantry here again. Now I don't have resupply vehicles, so that is a little bit deadly there. And they're just the cheap Servals, 25 points, really good speed, really good rate of fire, and that's pretty nice. And yeah, so now I'm just sort of shelling, looking for the enemy CV. Not able to find it, but I mean, I pushed up to Fetter. I didn't really want to push anymore after that too much because I hold the advantage here, but some of the closer games it's nice just to sit and be content and just let that clock wind down. So while we do that, we will speed things up a little bit. There is an attempt to go into the forest here, but PTZ is going to have a field day with that infantry fighting vehicle. I think even if there were infantry in there that were killed in a single shot, because more than 10 damage went through after armor. So mortars coming in and just not doing anything. The PTZ did not care at all. But my HQ7 does, that my cargo trucks are empty. So trying to get back there and resupply and just hold this Fort Woods. And yeah, DTS is sneaking around the side here, so this is part of why I didn't want to advance as well. There's an AMX-40, there's an AMX-10 RC, there's all this stuff back here. It's a nice way to get a Bloody Nose, and a Bloody Nose we do in fact get. ATGM vehicle, I mean, it's an AMX-10P Milan, it's not great, but this was a bad trade. I only got an AMX-10 RC, and I had to give away a ZTS for it, so technically down 5 points, not the biggest deal in the world. But, I mean, howitzers can do that for free, so we get another couple of recoilless rifles, we get one of the Cherbals in that howitzer strike, and I'm certainly a happy man because of that. In the meantime, AMX-10P Milans get sniped by Bastion missiles past this bridge, as well as the main tank shots, and things are starting to look like it's well and truly over for my opponent. So, well, I guess we still have 3 minutes. We'll hang around. MX-40 did pretty well. T-90S actually took a shot from that, so down to half strength there. And now we are pushing forward with infantry once again, trying to reclaim Boris just with late game sheer numbers. Of course, the hope is that my opponent had put enough elsewhere. It was a bit of a problem. B5 sent in just kind of blind. I lost a unit over here, and I didn't want to risk it, so yeah, there's a bomber. As it turns out, it was a 6th strength infantry squad, and that's it. But PTZ 90 provided some good performance, some good support. We identified the command infantry for Loing in the back part of this town, and we will be going after it. So Hwasong Chung, Bochung Su, and all of that going up and through. And I think this is going to be the death knell here. I mean, I could have used a heavy tank to provide decent armor-piercing, long-range fire support for these infantry, but holding the woods is okay. I was hoping to scoot up maybe a little bit, take out that Serval, maybe cut off access to the bridge completely. But with that, we do take Boris and go from a +1 to a +2. Of course, still nowhere near enough to 500 points to win that way, but hey, we do our best. And yeah, we're still trying. We're not pushing everywhere all the time, but this was still something. Definitely a good skirmish going on here. Gazelle Holt, unfortunately, this time making up his price tag is my guess, but he is taken out by Hwasong Chung. So I really like these transports. 20 points, mechanized, it's not usually great, but AWO is on top of that. It's basically like, well, it's very similar to having a group of AA infantry without having to pay for the AA infantry because it's rolled into the cost of getting the transport out on the field. So with that, I think this game is over in 26-22 seconds, and that's all we've got for you guys today. So thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.